Welcome to our pop studio. As always, Pam Fisher is with us along with members of her feature team. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, thank you.
You know, and we're talking this week about two subjects that are near and dear to my heart. We've got cooking and decorating, and seeing that there are cable TV networks devoted to that, I must not be alone.
Right. So I think the nesting or cocooning trend has been sort of where people have invested themselves the last few years. Kristine is covering a story this week about cooking with kids. So kids go to a gourmet restaurant, Sea Salt, that we reviewed for Date Night Dining last week. But these are little folks who are expressing themselves through gourmet cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It was a madhouse that day. They had about 36 kids at the back of a restaurant that was open for lunch. And so I was a little stressed, but these kids are having a blast. They made their own pasta and they made their own pizzas, and they were covered in flour by the end.
Now, do they have knives in cooking? Because my daughter, I'm trying to teach her how to cook, but I'm still afraid to give her a knife.
No, I think a lot of these kids, had the basic understanding, and it wasn't unsafe by any means. Like, the pizza was just kneading with their hands, but it was the idea that you get kids introduced to a kitchen early on, and then they're happy to cook the rest of their lives. They know what's going on, they know what's healthy. And
Was there a lot of instruction? Were they actually trying to teach them something so these kids could maybe go home later and do it again?
So they sort of debrief them. This is what we're going to be doing. This is why it's healthy and why it's fresh. But it was really about them actually physically doing it. And like the parents said, they're going to be talking about this forever. Like every time we drive past this restaurant, they're going to remember what they did there and what they made. And yeah, I think it was more like getting them hands-on and maybe.
And we're seeing a lot of this, aren't we? Like more restaurants are opening themselves up to kind of getting the kids involved in the culinary arts as well.
Yeah, and I think the whole experiential creativity that comes out of maker culture, right? That we're all expressing ourselves in our kitchens and in our home decor. And Shelby did a really neat story this week. She visited a $5 million sea glass cottage, right?
That's what
yeah,
they call it.
classic coastal style, right?
Yes, and it lives up to its name for sure. I mean, when you walk in, it looks like what you would think of when you think of a sea glass cottage. It's open floor plan. It's got this really cool color palette, lots of grays and whites with some pops of color. The outside is very resort inspired, but it's also so comfortable. I mean, when you go to the bedrooms, it's comfortable. It feels like home. I want to live there.
Were there a lot of sea glass accents or something, or why do they call it sea glass?
Lots of coastal inspired decorations, very coral features.
The shades are kind of that soft sea glass, sun-washed palette, right?
Yeah, and the flooring looks like sand, the same color as sand. It's got just blues like the water and the sky. It's stunning.
We just did a story on Behind the Headlines last week about the Mediterranean styles kind of being out of favor right now, in favor of coastal living and clean lines and things. Did you see things there that people like us could maybe incorporate at home and put some elements in our houses or apartments?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You'll find the wide plank clapboard on the siding, on the flooring. It's very coastal inspired, not Mediterranean like you would see on these like stucco, darker colored houses that we're now getting out of. And so very white, cool colors, as I said, and then that flooring is it's stunning.
And it kind of incorporates elements of classic Florida coastal style, which is a really humble cottage style, right? Like tin roofs and the beadboard or board and batten siding, screen porches.
Oh yeah, and it's styles that you can find all across all coasts, West Coast, East Coast, everywhere in between. So it feels like home, even though it might be a place you're living in 9 months out of the year. It feels like home.
So now you got a lot of tips from that. Kristine, could you think you could replicate the stuff you learned at the kitchen?
Yeah. I mean, these pizzas are less than round. They're just, it's just dough and sauce. Yeah, I could do it.
Your artisan style. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of things around town you could go and pick up tips and how to take them home.
Yep, and how to incorporate them into your own lives and make it more creative. So we have creative expression on the home front, and I think that's sort of a part of the pursuit of happiness, right? As Americans, we love to be individual, and artistic expression in the home, whether we're cooking or decorating, is sort of, I think, a part of that.
Well, great, and I know we'll expect to see more of that in the paper, and you can see these stories, find them online at naplesnews.com.